Welcome to this episode of the Fit for Purpose podcast, where we discuss how exploring health and fitness can empower you to live a life full of purpose. On this specific episode, we dive into topics surrounding the barriers that prevent us from becoming owners of our health and fitness, how to start, where to start, so that you can become the best version of yourself. There's actually scientific evidence that proves that if you move sporadically throughout the day post-workout, that workout's actually going to be more effective.
This is kind of the basis of any healthier relationship, whether it's like you and your kids or you and your significant other or you and food or you and your own fitness.
The idea is you work your way to this point where you have a baseline of consistency, of habits, consistent habits that you can fall back on. And the more that you work your way towards your goal, the more muscle you put on, the stronger you get, the more healthy and physically active you get, the more allowance you have now to splurge. Oh, snap.
Good morning.
Good evening. The listeners don't know what time it is. It's a real curveball.
4 a.m. We're out here.
I would rather die.
We're grinding, dude.
Have you ever noticed the difference between I don't know how early you're getting up for sessions, but the difference between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. for me is a world of difference.
You do 5 a.m. sessions.
5:45. So I wake up at 5, and then the beauty of it being in my home is that I can kind of just...
Right, it's right there.
It's right there.
Yeah.
So typically a routine is rolling out of bed, getting the coffee machine ready, changing, at least give myself 15 to 20 minutes to just have a moment. Yeah.
Just be human for a little bit.
And drink my cup of coffee.
Doom scroll.
And then I can kind of get ready and get out in the garage. But very convenient.
Yeah, that is convenient. Yeah, I'm usually up. I usually do a 6 a.m. a couple times a week, but that's the earliest. So then I'm up at 5. And yeah, I try not to do coffee that early. I try not to do coffee until after I've eaten, but sometimes I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff about one, obviously you put cream and sugar in there.
Yeah.
And two, the caffeine alone with on an empty stomach first thing can have different responses. Most people are wait till mid to late morning kind of thing.
Yeah. I think after you've had food is better for keeping your nervous system more regulated.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just got to go for it.
Mine is more habitual. I think it's I certainly don't need it, but yeah, it's definitely a habitual thing to be this is part of my routine.
Yeah.
So
I'll do a hot drink. I'll do a tea, a hot tea or something.
Yeah.
No, so I'll do some tea.
Or be hardcore, some hot bone broth.
Yeah, there you go, dude.
Yeah.
I don't drink tea, I drink bone broth.
Yeah.
With butter.
Some MCT oil or whatever it is.
And I'll journal or stretch a little bit and kind of same idea,
I need to do that. That makes me feel like shit because I'm over here I just check my notifications. I'm looking through Instagram.
I just scroll Instagram, check out the Discover page on Instagram. No, I mean, I've been leaning into journaling more in the last year as, I've been moving through some personal stuff, but it's a tool that's served me for sure. So I don't think it's something that everyone needs to do every day, but sometimes when I'm having thoughts or my mind is spinning a little bit or I wake up with a little bit of anxiety, then that's a good place for me to go. Yeah. So
do you reflect back on that, or is it just kind of you get it out, you put it down, and then you move on?
Both. I like my journal space to be a space where I can literally just dump my brain and tell the exact truth of what's going on in my mind. So I don't have to, you could see a therapist or something and just express all that shit, but I haven't explored that, but it feels good to just, even like the shit that isn't true or is not serving you. It's good to get that out of your head and onto paper.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you can go back and read it like a few days later and be like, wow, I'm an idiot. Like, this isn't true. Like, what I was thinking was true, or like what I was stressing about is not, it's not actually a big deal. So it's good to like get it down, and then you can go back and be like, oh, I'm an idiot, and just
it helps you like process
it
before you, like you said, before you allow those thoughts to become truth for you, or if it's thoughts of anxiety, or if it's thoughts about a specific individual that maybe like before it becomes rooted in bitterness, or before it becomes a part of your DNA in some way, you're getting it out, you're kind of like shedding it off of you.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like 75% of the work. I think if you take that step further and do the therapy stuff, which I've actually done over the last maybe 6 months.
Nice.
And then it's more just like adding tools to your toolbox from there. So it's like you're expressing it, you're getting it off, and then it's like reflecting on how did you feel about that? And then when you feel this way, or when this moment comes up, here's how you maybe can like navigate it with these tools.
Yeah.
But the journaling thing is powerful, dude. I was just thinking the other day, I was like, because have you ever gotten the notification on your iPhone? Do you have an iPhone or Android?
I do have an iPhone.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not crazy.
It like cues you like time to journal or whatever. I was like,
I just got a new phone. I had like an iPhone 12, and I just got a new phone, and I saw the journal app.
Yeah.
I didn't. I think it's like a new.
There's something I saw a video about, like you got to change some of the settings because it actually is like tracking like the shit that you're like doing on your phone to then it's
for your journal.
For your journal, it's not like putting it in your journal, but it's like it's doing something where it's like connecting the dots.
You're like, I freaking hate this person, I'm gonna kill him, and then the next thing you know, the feds are at your door.
We've heard of targeted ads. No, a targeted assassination.
The feds are at your door, just like,
oh god,
like I was just journaling, I was just venting my thoughts.
Oh my lord, do you remember? I don't know if you were like into video games much, but like the SWAT thing. You ever heard of that? So it was like a whole thing where you like, it was called like swatting someone, and you would like, I forget what you would do, but basically like the SWAT team would like come barge down, like kick down these people's door, like via video game chat. Like I forget how it was initiated.
What?
But like, yeah, we'll have to look that up. If we have, what's Rogan's like Jesse?
Jamie.
Jamie, can you look that up?
Pull that shit up, Jamie.
Yeah, no, it's a thing.
So someone would like make an anonymous call and like,
I think that's what it was. And then like, but let's say you're in a Call of Duty lobby, someone's like pissing you off, or it's like one of your buddies that you want to just like totally ruin their day. You like make an anonymous call, and then like literally there's instances where like SWAT would literally show up to these people's houses.
Really?
Like while they're like playing video games, and all of a sudden it's just like.
So you make an anonymous call, like reporting someone, and then the SWAT team.
I could be totally getting this wrong, but it's kind of what I remember it being.
That sounds intense.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So, freaking
journaling. Circle back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, I think you were talking about the thoughts becoming like a part of your DNA. Like, I'm the kind of person that can internalize a lot.
Same.
And next thing I know, I'm like 10 orders of magnitude down this like rabbit hole in my mind of some bullshit that's like that's not even, if I would just talk about it out loud to someone, I'd be like, oh, I sound stupid.
Yep.
But in your mind, like, you can like spin into these layers.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. So I found journaling to be a really powerful tool for me.
That's cool.
Over the last year or so. But I could go for some doom scrolling first thing in the morning too.
It's not the best thing.
No, for sure.
Sometimes it's filled with like more spiritual discipline when I'm good about it.
Yeah.
So using that time I've used the Bible app usually, and they have this like cool process of you reflect on like a daily scripture. They'll do like kind of a step by step, like, hey, like speak this out loud, pray this prayer, reflect on this scripture and maybe how it's impacted you. they'll include like a Devo video where you're like watching someone kind of like teach a little bit and that for me, when I'm consistent about it, is a really good rhythm because I kind of like am setting my feet in the right spot for me personally, like to start the day. So it's something I would say over the last maybe couple weeks I've like fallen out of rhythm of, but I had a good streak going. It was good.
Yeah.
And it's funny, as I was doing that more consistently, then I was like starting to look for like deeper stuff. So I was like, they have examples of being able to like tap into like, okay, the book of John and some specific passages in there. So you're getting more meat, I guess, versus just like a daily reminder kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. Like you said, set your feet in the right spot for the day. Like just getting grounded at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
Not, I always feel I like to get ahead of my day a little bit, and doing something like that makes me feel ahead of my day a little bit.
Yes.
When you get like behind your day and like you're reacting to everything that's happening that day, it just doesn't feel as good. Like you feel kind of out of control.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, or like sometimes I have this posture of like maybe I'm not at that point. Yeah, it's like I could have been reckless all day long, and then now that's what I'm like giving away versus like being rooted in gratitude and God's grace for me. And then I feel like that posture helps serve my clientele the very best. Like I know I'm about to walk into my garage and greet my clients who, you know, maybe it's Monday morning, they just went through a tough weekend. Like what is my posture, my attitude is I'm now about to go and serve this individual. So yeah, it's powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to be, you know, to get grounded for the day and be ahead of your day and show up for work or your family or whatever it is, like that's really powerful. But also in our profession where we're interacting with people one-on-one at 6 a.m. or 5:45 a.m. or whatever it is, you know, it's easy to roll out of bed, grab coffee, kind of like show up and just like, you're behind the session. You're not being intentional with your engagement with the client. So then they're not getting what they're paying for fully.
Yes, very true.
Yeah. So being intentional about that and kind of like you said, just giving yourself that moment, that 15 minutes, like whatever it is, even if it's just doing a little bit of stretching, a little bit of breathing, an intentional practice, giving yourself that time to like root and be intentional and be slightly ahead of your day, then you can be mindful of actually how you're showing up in those interactions and how you're coaching.
We talked about it a little bit on a different episode and related to different things, but like for us as coaches or whatever profession you're in is like, you can't take someone where you haven't been before. So like that idea of like setting your day up for success with principles that you believe in, that you're going to now go and preach, and you don't want to be like one, hypocritical in that, but two, like, again, it's going to empower you to be your very best.
Yeah.
To give away of yourself. So can't pour from an empty cup, as they say.
Absolutely. And you as a coach, you don't want to be reacting to the state that the client is showing up in. You want to be setting the space. So you're going to be setting the tone.
For sure.
It's like, and you can meet people where they're at, which is important.
Yeah.
But then like, again, being intentional about meeting them where they're at and then bringing them up versus if they come in with a shitty attitude, being like, yeah, we'll kind of just take it easy today. Or like you, as a coach, I can find myself like, I can drop my energy or I can drop my intention for the hour and let even certain things like negative conversations or negative attitudes start to kind of spiral.
Yeah.
Versus meeting someone where they're at and being like, okay, I understand you had a challenging weekend.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the workout and let's just get you moving, you know, and then trying to bring them up to where you're at.
Yeah.
So you're being the leader. So you're being the coach. You're influencing, you know, you're influencing health. You're influencing a positive mindset.
Totally.
And everything that comes along with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to get almost like you could get too comfortable in a session. I've found myself in that spot often, or not often, but like at times. And yeah, it's at the end of the day, like you're being paid to be, like you said, the leader of that session. So yeah, always being like, you know, we might get derailed just a little bit, but let's circle back to like what matters. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I tell my clients, hopefully you have enough friends. You're not paying me to be your friend.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
You're not paying me to be nice to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like you can be kind but still push people. But yeah, like, you're not paying me to commiserate or be your homie.
Yeah.
Like I'm here to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
And as a coach, it can if you're low energy or you're not prepared, like it's easy to drop that standard. So
yeah, I've heard it said before, it's important to lead through grace and truth. And yeah, if you get too grace filled, then it can be very much like you're not calling out the things that maybe need to be called out. Like you're letting this person kind of get off easy with the things that they're not able to hold themselves accountable for, because you're just like, oh, it's okay. Or, oh, well, we can take this session easy, or, hey, don't worry about what the scale said there. But if you can do both really well, it's, hey man, I love you. And because I love you, we got to get this shit right. Like, and here's how we're going to do it. You're not alone in it. Here's a plan, a step-by-step thing. And we're going to work through this together. But at the end of the day, if you want to make this goal happen, here's how we're going to do it. And you got to stop doing X, Y, Z. So it's that like that truth or that grace sandwich. It's like, give them grace, give them truth, give them grace again, and know that they're supported in it.
Yeah.
So you're not just
but I love that, like recognizing the truth, because it's easy you can gloss over it, or you can ignore someone not putting in the effort, or someone being lazy with their technique, or you can take the lead and say the uncomfortable thing, and call out, this is the reality as I see it right now, and this is what we need to change.
Yeah, and sometimes you can. I mean, I've had occasions where I've maybe missed the mark on that, or I haven't missed the mark, and maybe it's just not at the moment ready to be received, and those conversations can be really uncomfortable. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, it's about having like equity and relationship built with that individual to be able to speak into their life, and finding the right moment to like do that and drop the hammer, because it's not, you don't like every time this person comes in, you're like dogging them for something, and vice versa. Again, relating back to like being overly grace filled. So it's like finding that happy medium. Yeah. But everything comes with trust and relational equity, I think, at the end of the day for that.
Yeah, that's definitely something I see with new coaches, and something I've experienced myself is being nervous to give a correction, or not wanting to give a correction because it can be uncomfortable, like how they respond. Yeah. But it's your job as the coach. Give the correction, be graceful about it. How they respond isn't, it's out of your control. So
yep, they're paying you for a service, and but there is something said too. Actually, like this is something my counselor said. He's like, you can't care about the individual's goals more than they do. So it's like we keep circling back to the idea of like meeting the person where they're at, saying what needs to be said in a loving way, and then not taking that as coaches. It's really easy to like burden that for yourself. Like, oh man, like they're just not getting it, or like in becoming like internalizing that and becoming.
I'm a shitty coach.
Yeah, getting that imposter syndrome, man. You're like, I can't get them the results, but it's like really, it comes down to the person wanting it bad enough for themselves to see the results. And anyways,
absolutely, yeah. And if you're out there taking classes and you're pursuing your health and fitness, and you've hired a coach, like remember, you're paying for a service, but you're half that relationship. Yeah. So be mindful about how you're showing up, and
totally that coach is not going to be there the 100+ hours that you're not with them in the gym. That's what I always encourage clients, is like, you hold the keys to the car, and it's up to you to take the ownership. It's up to me to instill you with the tools to like make the thing happen. But you've got to, at the end of the day, it's on you. Yeah. And that's not to like say that I'm not going to be there to support you or be there to encourage you, et cetera. Yeah. But that is like, if a client's with me 2 hours out of the week, like we can only do so much. So
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, 2 hours a week. Like, okay, we need to cover lifestyle, nutrition, habits.
So many things.
Also, you need to be getting a workout in while you're here.
Mobility. Yeah. We're gonna do a little foam rolling. Like we're gonna do a little strength based stuff, endurance based stuff. Like it's a lot of things in that 1 hour.
Yep. But it's good sign of a good coach to be able to kind of strategically wrap all that in there. So
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got word today about RFK's official title. It's crazy.
What's his title?
So I think I read it right. It says Secretary of Health and Human Department, or Health and Human Services, or something like that.
Badass.
Department of Health and Human
Services.
That's
I like that.
Is. Yes.
He's the director of the Department of Health and Human Services.
So he gets to be like the main voice.
Hell yeah.
Dude.
I think this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, do you feel like a little bit worried of like, what are they? I mean, they still have got a few months in office here to like do some stuff. I don't know what they.
Oh, try and pass some legislature or something? Like,
I don't know, man. Like,
before it gets transitioned over to Trump?
Things will be made as difficult as possible for like when that day comes, because we're waiting until the end of January here.
Yeah, they have like 6 weeks?
Yeah.
7 weeks. It's like,
I guess it really isn't that much.
What can you really get done in 7 weeks? Unless they had stuff like already ready to pull the trigger on in case he won. But I think either way, the fact that the conversation in the culture, not obviously in the mainstream media, unfortunately, but in the actual culture right now among, some of the biggest podcasts in the world and, people like us, and just having conversations in the gym and within our own communities, the conversation around health and the realization of, how poisoned our water and our soil is, and how many chemicals and additives there are in our food, and just the awareness of America's rates of obesity and illnesses, like chronic diseases, Yeah,
it's astronomical. It's insane.
The fact that we're having the conversation,
a great awakening almost.
Yeah, the fact that we're having the conversation, and it's like we're all starting to like point at it and be like, hey,
something's wrong with that.
That's not right. Yeah.
But it's like it's almost like you have this feeling like for the longest time you don't have the power to speak into any of that or control any of that. And it's almost like this, oh, wait, maybe we do. Like maybe we can take a big swing at big pharma and the food corporations and
And that's the thing. It doesn't feel like you have the power to do that, but you having conversations with your clients over the last 3, 4, 5 years about their food choices, that has an impact.
Yeah.
Right? It's the little things of like, oh, I'm not going to buy this cereal. I'm going to buy this cereal. I'm not going to buy this food. I'm going to buy this organic product instead. Like those little changes where you're like, I'm shifting where I'm putting my money and my attention into more positive things. Totally. That starts to bubble up in the culture, and
that's good.
Then it starts to rise up.
It's like a bunch of different influences creating a vast sea of people becoming more and more aware.
Exactly. And then RFK is, he drops his book, The Real Anthony Fauci, talking about the COVID crisis and talking about, how the FDA works and how the NIH works, and, all of the discrepancy and the freaking just
it's dirty, man. It's dirty
the dirty
stuff.
business, the freaking
if you're listening to this and you don't know about RFK, like he's a guy who has for the longest time been preaching against everything that kind of big pharma stands for, and I guess some people would label him as like an anti-vaxxer, but he's very much against like large corporations being in control of food, being in control of like what they put into food, spraying pesticides on crops, all sorts of things, and showing record of how it's affected us in our overall health. Like it's
I mean Robert F. Kennedy, he spent his whole career at suing large corporations for poisoning rivers and streams and soil. Like he was suing large corporations for dumping waste into nature and successfully suing them, and protecting the land, protecting our farming soil, like, and then he started getting interested in chronic disease and children's health. And a lot of moms started asking him to look into mercury poisoning and mercury in vaccines. So, he's someone who basically committed his life to researching these things and successfully holding corporations accountable for their actions.
Yep.
And so it's just really cool that he's being outspoken, and he wrote that book, and there's a lot of crazy claims in that book that are eye-opening about the HIV/AIDS crisis, about COVID, about vaccines, autism rates, all this stuff. And he hasn't been sued for any of the claims in that book. So
I mean,
yeah, he makes some pretty egregious stuff.
More it makes sense. And like, you have so much data to reflect this stuff as truth. And how could you go at, the reality is like, if they can make you sick, then they can make money off of you. And
if they can make money off you being sick, then they'll make you sick.
Yes. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool. I mean, even on a base level, like you don't even have to go that deep. But on a base level, we know that there are certain food additives and farming practices that are banned in other countries.
Almost every other country, yeah.
Yeah, and other countries have a lot better health outcomes than we do. So, like, let's at least start there.
Sure.
And that's something that he's really bringing attention to, which I think is powerful.
Yeah, I think, like, at the end of the day, like, there's so much money and power involved in a lot of these different areas that, like, it may not be that we see all of this totally like obliterated and the great eye in the sky opens and we can like have this like amazing health.
Illuminati?
No, definitely not.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like you said, like if we can change like some basic things like that, those will make a huge difference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is a lack of education, which I would love to see, not only holding corporations accountable to changing their practices and at least giving us the standards that they use in other countries already, but also a push for education on some level to the population about making healthy choices.
Especially like physicians, even like we hear a great deal about how like nutrition is such a minuscule part of like getting your doctorate degree as like a MD, which is like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So like you go to a doctor's visit and your doctor's like just as out of shape as you are, or, they recommend these like old practices of like, eliminate red meats and eliminate salt and eliminate eggs, and because they're
science
high in cholesterol.
40 years old.
Yeah, it's so old, and it's like, hold up, you're telling people not to like consume like quality nutrients that are going to be beneficial for them. Like,
yeah, it's an issue, and I think I mean education in schools, there's no reason our 6, 7, 8-year-olds shouldn't be learning about the difference between real food and processed food.
Even what they offer at schools, like I was
absolutely.
My daughter just started at a public school here in the area, and it was like a time warp, dude, back to when I was in elementary school. Just like even in the cafeteria of like what they're serving, it's mac and cheese, it's frozen pizzas, it's the carton milk, the green beans out of the can that's all nasty. It's like, again, kind of, I get you got to mass produce it. Also, their children, like my kids eat like pizza and chicken nuggets often, but it's like there's better sources of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so anyways.
Absolutely. And I love the movement. I have my own Make America Healthy Again hat. I'm stoked about it. But
Maha
also
doesn't like really roll off the tongue, but I'm here.
It sounds like a noise. Maha, like
a South Park.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's not gonna save you. RFK is not gonna save you. Trump's not gonna save you.
Sure.
Like, even if nothing changes with the way that corporations are making food, even if nothing changes in our grocery stores, you can still be healthy.
Come on now.
You gotta take responsibility.
We need like that church organ playing right now, dude. We're landing the plane here.
That's right, baby. It comes down to personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, you, at the end of the day, what you take in your hand and put in your mouth is on you 100%. It's not on anyone else.
Yeah.
And if you make better decisions, then it's going to drive corporations to change their practices, because if we don't buy the shit that they're selling, that they're just here to make money. So they're gonna make adjustments. But I think it's the lack of education, and it's all a good step in the right direction. It's just, but at the end of the day, we got to be responsible for ourselves.
I think that's a great like transition there too, because like kind of what we wanted to discuss today was like barriers and ownership in your own health journey. So that it really is that. I feel like we're so conditioned these days to wait around for like some answer to like save us, and it's like you have the power, like just to offer that truth, like we talked about earlier. Like you have the power to control your circumstance, and you have the power, like you said, to control what you put in your body and how you feel yourself. And even if it may seem like it's inaccessible, I mean, you could buy any store-bought berries, strawberries, you name it, put it in some water, put some baking soda on it, and you're going to clean it from what it is sprayed with. Like, so it's about, again, not being ignorant, educating yourself, making quality decisions, and not waiting around for someone to like save you to like,
yeah, absolutely. And I think to get a little bit more zoomed out, I think this is kind of the basis of any healthier relationship, whether it's like you and your kids, or you and your significant other, or you and food, or you and your own fitness. Like, we have a tendency to either over blame or over accept blame. And the same thing with like a coach-client relationship, right? We have to be responsible for ourselves, and then we can be loving and supportive, but I can't blame Kellogg's for making me fat.
Yeah.
Right?
Kellogg's didn't tell you, they marketed themselves well, but they didn't tell you to eat like 10 bowls of cereal this week. Like, instead of a nutritious breakfast to start your day.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, like, the 8-year-old that's fat can't over accept blame for being fat, because like,
product of their environment.
Yeah, it's a product of his environment, and whether it's his parents or whether it is the Kellogg's bullshit that they're serving at school. We have to educate him, but it's being responsible, and not pointing the finger, right? Not over blaming someone else, and not over accepting blame when someone's in that victim mentality of like, I can't do it, I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I love you, I support you, but you can figure this out.
You can.
Here are the tools.
Yeah.
So, and that's, again, just to kind of zoom out in any relationship, that applies to so many layers, especially around our health and what the topic we're talking about right now.
Yeah, and if you're in that camp, like, I don't know that any, if you had like an upbringing where you had these poor behaviors that were instilled in you, because like, I don't think, like, when someone's like overweight, you kind of hear a lot of times they'll say like, oh, it's my genetics. I always like to push back on that, because what I like to like say or think is that it's not necessarily genetics. It's more about like the nurturing and what was taught and what was allowed. And if that's you and you're in that situation and you're in a spot where maybe there's some unhealth and some decondition and maybe some like disease, if it's diabetes or heart issues like taking place, like, you're not to be blamed for that. Like, that's not your fault, but you do still have the ability to learn, to educate yourself, and to make changes from where you're at. This doesn't have to be where you live forever.
It may not necessarily be your fault, but it's still your responsibility
to change.
Yeah. It's still your reality to live with. So you can say it's not my fault all day. This is just who I am. But like, at the end of the day, what is that doing for you?
Totally.
You can,
and don't accept the mediocrity of that life. Like, man.
Or do if you want, but there's a way out if you want it.
It's that fork in the road. You can continue to live this route. You can continue to make these decisions, or you can go this direction and change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that applies to so much in our lives, which is why I love fitness and the pursuit of fitness and health is that it's just a dichotomy for. That's not the right word, dichotomy.
I honestly don't know that.
I don't think that I applied that word correctly in that situation. It's a microcosm.
Oh yeah,
of life.
I'm tracking now.
It's a metaphor for life.
It's real like Shane Gillis.
Yeah, and and what we kind of wanted to talk about today was just like fitness more specifically, but there's no excuse for not at least putting in some sort of practice to improve your physical fitness.
Yes.
Exercise in the right dose is never going to be bad for you. It's only a positive.
Yep.
Mark Bell says strength is never a weakness. A weakness is never a strength. I love that.
That's great.
But it's wherever you're at, you can improve, and everything is scalable.
Yes.
So no matter what your current situation is, you just have to do something that's a little bit uncomfortable for you within the exercise realm.
Yep. I like to use the term like live within what you can control. And if that for you today looks like you're getting up and you're going for a walk for 20 minutes and then you're coming home, that's all it has to be. And you'll find that over time that becomes maybe a little bit more. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be this all or nothing mentality and wait for the perfect dose, the perfect right prescription in order to like get yourself right. You got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. And you just said a 20-minute walk a day. Like, I think that's fantastic. That's such a great place to start. I heard this statistic. I can't verify its accuracy, but the statistic was that the average high school student right now walks about 11 minutes a day.
Wow. That's like jarring, actually.
Yeah, like that's 11 minutes. That's like enough, like just to get like to the car and then to school and then like between classes and then go home and watch TV or be on your phone the rest of the afternoon.
That's it.
Which is bananas.
That's insane.
So 20 minutes is like, that's 100% improvement.
I would love to go back into my childhood and get some data on that show. I mean, from the bus stop alone to the house, like that's a
good 10 minutes.
Dude. That's insane.
Yeah. And so just to give some perspective on if you actually took a timer and started that timer for every moment that you were actually walking or actively moving throughout the day, what does that equal out to? 30 minutes? An hour? So many of us are doing jobs that don't require any movement.
Yep.
We DoorDash food to our house.
Yes.
And our entertainment is
Netflix,
again,
your phone,
sitting on our asses and being entertained. So it's like what demand is there for us to move? I think a great place to start, 20-minute walk is incredible. And even if it's not a 20-minute walk to nowhere, it's like how can you force yourself to move more throughout the day? Even if it's just to complete tasks.
Yep.
If you want to eat some food, can you instead of DoorDashing, can you drive to the grocery store and park at the back of the parking lot, and then instead of grabbing
get those extra steps in as you're walking into the store, walking around the store.
Yeah. And something I do at the grocery store, which I've committed to, is instead of grabbing a cart, I grab a basket.
Yeah.
And so I have to carry it
around
the store. I gotta carry it around the store. And like a lot of times by the time I'm like done grocery shopping, that thing is overflowing because it's just a basket, but I'm lugging it up there, and it's like you don't have to go like this, this kind of detailed into it, but I don't want to devolve into the point where I'm just pushing this cart around. I want to be able to carry what I'm going to go home and eat.
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean?
Awesome.
So like even that, like if you're not hitting the gym every day, if you could walk a little bit, instead of pushing a cart on the grocery store, carry it, little things like that. If that's exercise for you, if that's challenging or uncomfortable for you, that's where you're at.
Yep.
No excuses. Fucking make it happen.
Make it happen. Yeah, Ryan Fisher at all, big on Instagram.
Yes,
he's always
ex-CrossFitter.
I like how he always posts like he'll post pictures specifically like when he's traveling typically, and it's always like only one taking the stairs, and like he's always making a point to like if there's an escalator or an elevator that's accessible, he's using the staircase because it's like why the fuck wouldn't you use the staircase? Mm-hmm. And he's not doing it in like a condescending way, but he's more saying like, hey, look at the picture here. Like we have become so numb to how little we move and how much we rely on all these things that are, again, so accessible to us to transport us from place to place when you got 2 damn legs that work. And yeah, dude, we don't have like a lack of exercise problem. We have like a movement problem. Like we do not move enough.
Yeah. The gym only exists because we developed enough as a society to decrease the demand for movement. Mm-hmm. We used to have to move to live.
Yep.
And then we continue to develop our society and get more and more comfortable. As we continue to seek comfort in our society, then we've created all these discomforts like not being able to move and having low back pain and having knees that hurt and being overweight because we try to make ourselves comfortable. I don't think that we should get rid of our comfortable couches and our Netflix. The gym was created as a supplement for what we're not doing. So it's like you can utilize the gym. I love the gym. You don't need it. If you can sprinkle in other things throughout the day and your goal is just to be able to move and be healthy, I mean, you could survive without ever needing to go to a gym.
Yeah.
For sure. And you could be healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the 2 things will always be true. One, you can't outwork a poor diet. And the other thing is that 1 hour at the gym is not going to rewrite the sins of whatever you decision-wise made throughout the day if it's lack of movement and it's what you put in your mouth. Because you will always be able to control your nutrition. And if you overconsume, it is way easier to do that than it is to burn those calories off at the gym. So, which is why if you simply increase movement throughout your day, you're going to increase your overall calorie expenditure really easily in a very like steady state, low stress format for your body.
Yeah. And getting strong is one of the best ways to avoid aging and age-related decline. But yeah, you can't, I see a lot of people actually make their physical health worse or make themselves uncomfortable by crushing it in the gym for an hour a day and then not moving the rest of the day. Like there's a lot of details here, but if you can't just go into the gym and just destroy yourself for an hour and then not move the rest of the day and expect yourself to be healthy or feel good.
Yeah.
It really is.
It was even, there's actually like scientific evidence that proves that if you move sporadically throughout the day post workout, that workout's actually going to be more effective for hypertrophy, for muscle protein synthesis. So there's something to be said about, you can't just go to the workout, crush the workout, come home, sit on your ass. Like if you, even as simple as like, I always like kind of encourage my clients who like maybe have those sedentary jobs, like set a timer every hour. And when that hour dings, if you're not in a meeting or something where it's like, it's vying for your attention, like get up and do a lap around your island if you're at home, or get up and do a lap around the cubicle, or go down 1 flight of stairs and back. Like something to just simply like, because there's studies that show like if you move, I forget what it was. Like it was like if you move like even just like 20 minutes throughout the day post workout, that it's going to like magnify the effects of your muscle protein synthesis. So, and
the mechanism there is blood flow. And this is where walking comes in. Again, we evolved to be walking miles every day. That was the form of transportation. You couldn't go anywhere or do anything without walking forward.
Yeah, dude. There was no Uber.
Yeah, so our bodies have
Maybe ride on like a mammoth with your spear in hand. That's so
stupid. With your cave bitches on the back.
Uber mammoth. Could you imagine? I'm waiting for the XL. I feel like my sense of humor is like imagery. I like to like create like false scenarios.
Yeah, I could see that, dude. I would love to ride a mammoth.
It feels like very Flintstones.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's where walking comes into play. Our DNA, our physical bodies rely on walking. Mm-hmm. We evolved to be walking miles a day. Yeah. There's functions in our body that cannot happen if we're not walking. The walking circulates blood flow through our entire body, and your muscles, your joints receive nutrition from that blood flow. Move oxygen to, move nutrients to, remove waste from. Mm-hmm. If you're not moving, like you're not at least even just walking casually, your body is not keeping up with the processes that are going on. Your body is, conducting millions of chemical reactions every minute, and you're producing waste from those reactions. Your body needs nutrients, your body needs blood flow, and then your body also needs to remove that waste from those areas and bring it back to the heart and the lymph so it can get flushed out. Mm-hmm. Those things do not happen if you're not moving. So again, it's like you can crush it in the gym an hour a day, which is awesome, but that 20-minute walk that you mentioned earlier, that is like cornerstone.
It's huge. Yeah, it would make all the difference. And then too, I would hit on, if you're lost when it comes to like the strength training piece, like that is why people like us exist. And I'm not saying that in a sense of like, come pay us. Like I'm saying that in the sense of
no, like, do it. Pay me.
Well, yeah. If you're ignorant to stuff, that's where education comes into play. And there are people who are educated about certain topics more than you may be educated. You don't have to do it alone. And there's people that exist to empower you and provide you with the tools to learn. And so, I would say, that's where you kind of got to open up your budget and say, what's worth it? Like, I don't know how to do this thing. And I'm in a spot where like, if I don't do this thing, it's got consequences. And so what am I willing to like sacrifice to make that happen? And, so that's what I would say. I would encourage you to find someone who you trust, who is capable of providing tools for you, and go make it happen. Like,
yeah, and this comes back to a conversation around values, but so many people have a car payment that's anywhere from $600 to $1,200 a month.
Yep.
And their health is shit.
Absolutely.
And they, you ask them to commit $300 a month to their fitness or their health, and it's like,
whoa,
that sounds like a lot of money.
Or it's like the first thing that falls off, I'm trying to save some money. I got to give up my trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to give up this workout program that actually did provide a lot of value to me, but I don't really see it as that now because I'm stressed about my finances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just a reflection of where that person's values lie. If you're more concerned with having the nice car that other people like are impressed by, or that like makes you feel successful or good about yourself, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I'm saying that if you have more value invested there than in your own well-being, I would say it might be time to reevaluate what you think is important, because we're all on the treadmill towards the end. Mm-hmm. Like we're not here for.
There's one way out of this thing.
Yeah, yeah. we're all gonna die.
Yeah, but you can create longevity. You can live a life that is like full of value, you have quality experiences because you're physically active, physically fit. You're preventing disease. Like, I almost think, for some people, like, we really truly, and there's even things in my own life, like, you really almost have to hit that like rock bottom, if you will, or experience like that grand consequence before you're like, oh shit, like I should have taken this more seriously.
Yeah.
But with that said, anything that you're currently doing will only compound with interests, whether that's good or bad. If you're deciding to Uber Eats and sit on your ass every day and move 11 minutes or less with your feet throughout the day, that will compound with interest over time. So you're going to end up 20 years from now in discomfort, maybe experiencing some level of disease.
Yeah.
You name it. Like, who knows what that looks like over time.
Absolutely. And then again, that pursuit of comfort, the pursuit of, I'm just going to Uber Eats and sit on my ass because it's comfortable. That pursuit of comfort eventually becomes incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
what's the old adage? Is like you either like invest in your health now or you're going to like pay for it.
Dude, Paul Chek, sooner or later, your health will be your number one priority. Whether it's now or when it's, you're diagnosed with cancer. And again, like that sounds morbid. That's the reality, dude.
It is 100%.
One in two people born after 1960, I believe, will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetimes.
Oh my gosh.
1 in 2.
It's such a jarring statistic.
That's
mind-boggling.
Banana. But we want to ignore that. Like we want to just go about our day and like not think about that until the day you're hit with that news and you're like,
or you're thinking about it and you're so stressed and so full of anxiety about it that you're actually like not doing anything to like make it change.
Yeah,
because there are very
paralysis
much people,
just by like,
for sure. Yeah, you're scared about all of the consequences, but you're still unwilling to like break the mold and make change.
Yeah,
regardless.
Yes. Yeah, man. So, I know you've had issues with your thyroid. I had a health crisis in my early 20s that kind of slingshotted me onto this path, and nothing life-threatening. I wasn't diagnosed with cancer, but I was on a path where if I continued down that path without changing anything, then I would quickly be in a really bad spot. I would be in my 30s and really, really struggling, which some people are. And, I was in my early 20s and I was having a really hard time with my health. And the biggest thing for me was like, I don't have energy. I didn't have mental clarity. I was depressed or anxious. So I couldn't relate to people with compassion because I was constantly in a state of fight or flight because I didn't feel good. So I think about people walking around in that state all the time and not realizing how shitty they feel, or realizing how shitty they feel and not knowing how to get out of it. And that pulls at me. Like I want to help people get out of that, So again, if that's you, if you're in that spot, you can change it, but you got to start taking action. And you probably won't feel motivated to take action until you are in a tough enough spot or you start taking action, because action also breeds motivation. So
similarly it was so my thyroid's jacked up because I got diagnosed with melanoma like this was like 3.5 years ago.
No way. I didn't know that.
So they removed it, thankfully, caught it early enough. But because of that, as like a preventative measure, I did like a immunotherapy medication, kind of relating back to the old big pharma. I was a part of like the 1% of individuals who take this med that it basically diminishes your thyroid's ability to function. And along with that too, like even my testosterone, like I do TRT now and have for the last like almost 2 years because that's
why you're so jacked. God damn it.
I was like 28, worked out 4 or 5 days a week, ate super clean, hit my protein goal every day, slept like relatively okay, but my TRT or my testosterone was at like 300.
Damn.
Which is like really low.
That's very low.
Someone who's doing those things.
Especially in your 20s.
The spectrum is like anywhere from like 3 to 700 on average for like most men. But so to be at the bottom end of that
and be in your 20s and be healthy, you know, doing healthy. Yeah. That's
so for me, it was like, you know, I want to do everything in my power not to be in that spot again, and to do everything from a preventative standpoint to,
So what do you keep your testosterone at now?
So it varies.
Do you know, do you know kind of what it's at? Like when you're doing
I need to do an updated blood work because the last time I did it, it was actually really, really high. And so when you do TRT, I'm sure you know this, you have like your peaks and your troughs because you're in, like the way I do it, the way mine is prescribed, it's prescribed as like an every 7-day dose.
Oh, okay.
So I inject it probably about 3 days, 4 days into that injection as it's like getting in your system, and it accumulates at like a really, really high spot. So that would be your peak. And it's not that you're living at that peak because your body actually really can't like process that much typically. So then you want to get a good read where you're like maybe a few days after that to get like a true reading. So the last one I did was like maybe it was right at my peak and I was at like 1400, which is insane.
That's really
but it's fucking awesome.
You just feel fucking great.
I'll say this, dude, like when you are active, when you were strength training, when you were eating high amounts of protein, you're sleeping well while you're on TRT, that's when it has its greatest benefits. This is a whole subject for a whole nother episode.
Another time.
Man, there was weeks where every week I'm like PRing and it was like, this
Dude,
feels amazing.
I'm jealous. I want thyroid issues.
Yeah. So
I'm just kidding.
But you know, the whole premise of being on TRT is not to like bring you to this anabolic level. It's really
it's
just to get you.
You're trying to get to a baseline.
My true baseline. Yeah. Which is probably for me right now somewhere around like 700-800.
Dude, that's why you bench 315. Jesus.
So I went from basically the adjustment we made based off of that was, well, I'll just go an extra day or two. So rather than a 7-day dose, it's like a maybe 8-9 day dose, and that would help kind of regulate it. But that's been, man, a good like 8 months since I last did that. So I need to do another blood work.
To reevaluate.
Yeah. The other thing that happened, there's a couple things that happen when you're on it, especially if you're at like a high spot. One, your blood can actually thicken.
You gotta do some blood donations.
Yeah, so I need to do that for sure.
Your red blood cell count just freaking starts
and the other
climbing.
thing is your is it DHA? DHEA levels will increase, which are linked to like decrease in hair loss, and it can even, that's where like prostate issues like come into play. Acne comes into play. Those types of things. So I'll do like Cell Palmetto as like a supplement over the counter to like kind of decrease some of that naturally. There's things you can eat in your food, but anyways, that's a little sidebar, but
we'll do an episode about all that stuff and best practices
relating to like our food and our current state and our lack of movement and exercise. Like that is a reality for most men right now.
Low testosterone.
Yeah.
And TRT isn't the first step.
Definitely not. No. Okay. No, it was for me because I was like, I'm done having kids. I want to honestly, like in reality, like look the part of the fitness professional. I want to feel strong.
Yeah.
I want to get the return on my investment. Like I'm putting in the freaking work and I want to like see that back and I want to feel good. Like I was crashing at like 3 p.m. every day, like basically falling asleep. So,
damn.
Yeah, so it's certainly not the first solve.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, circling back though, like, my mind got on this topic today because with the related to like barriers and stuff, because it's like so many people are like all or nothing people, and it's like, oh well, I gotta wait for the perfect storm to like get in my stride, and then when I get in my stride, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to be perfect about my nutrition. I'm going to track my macros. I'm going to exercise and do this. And then a few weeks go by and it's unsustainable. And then they fall off and they're potentially worse off than they were before they started. So,
dude, I'm that way. And I have a baseline, a base layer of habits that I can fall back on.
Sure.
Like I don't eat shit food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to drink alcohol more than one night a week.
Yep.
I know that. I'm going to be in bed before 11 p.m.
Yes.
Pretty much no matter what.
Yep.
I have those things that I fall back on, but then I also am similar where it's like, oh, this month I'm going hard. I'm going all in. I'm doing X, Y, Z. I'm making everything happen.
Which I think is, but I guess that like that is truly what we're talking about. Is you have gotten to this point like where you can be consistent about the big rocks.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
And the reason that you're going to go hard, like I mean, you are doing that now. You're trying to like bulk, put some size on, like, is because you want to attain or achieve this like specific goal.
Yes. Yeah.
And
true.
like you're gonna get to that goal, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm burnt out. Like I'm gonna probably fall back up. Like,
yeah, I'll go back to baseline for a little bit.
I haven't tracked my macros in probably like a year and a half because it's just like.
Also, once you've tracked your macros for a while,
you have
then you know where you're at. But if you've never done that, then you can't.
The ability to intuitively eat.
You can't eat intuitively if you've never.
Exactly. If you haven't
never
tracked
tried
your
before.
macros, yeah, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Whole nother thing. But like the idea is you work your way to this point where you have a baseline of consistency, of habits, consistent habits that you can fall back on. And the more that you work your way towards your goal, the more muscle you put on, the stronger you get, the more healthy and physically active you get, the more allowance you have now to splurge, to have that one night a week where you drink alcohol. Or last night, like in all honesty, like we ordered pizza and that's what we had as a family. Like you have allowance now built up where that's not going to have as great of an effect on you. So you're not going to like totally fall off the cliff when you do that thing. So, yeah, all that to say, it's about building consistent habits, doing what you can control over a long extended period of time so that you can get yourself like to this place where you have, I'll keep saying it, more allowance to enjoy life.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the topic of barriers, it's, again, wherever you are at, all you have to do is take the next step.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all anyone is doing. And some people have taken more steps than others. But no matter if you're 400 pounds and you've never eaten a vegetable in your life, or if you're a fitness influencer, it's like we're all growing, we're all evolving, and you're being called forward to evolve and to grow into whatever the next evolution of you is. Take that next step. Whatever you can do it.
Yep.
And that's going to alleviate the subtle anxiety hanging out in the back of your mind about you not doing what you know you could do. And I don't know if you deal with that or if everyone deals with that, but
it's well said.
There's a you know what you could and should be doing, and and
if you were just doing one thing, like taking one swing or chop at that tree, like you think about taking a tree down. If I had a pickaxe, like it's one swing at a time. It's not. You don't have a chainsaw where you're going to get it all right and zap that thing down. Like it is one stroke after the next. And yeah, you're giving yourself the confidence to diminish that anxiety if every day you're doing that one thing. Do that one thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. The more swings you take at that tree, the more confident you are in your ability to take a swing at that tree. So yeah, man, I love it. I love the motivation and the accountability. It's like, really, I don't mean to be blunt, but there's no fucking excuse. And again, you don't have to have a six pack, but
definitely not.
If you're overweight, if you're 100 pounds overweight, you're 50 pounds overweight, you're not doing anything for your health actively right now, there's no excuse.
Yep.
There's no excuse. We all have the power to take a step forward.
That's what I'll even tell my clients is like, even if they're discouraged by what the scale may have said, or they didn't see quite the results that they thought, they're putting in a lot of effort, is like, even you showing up here for your session, you're doing more than people desire to do. Like, feel proud of that.
Yeah.
Like you're kicking ass. You just did this entire session. Your body moves well. You feel good. Maybe your clothes are starting to fit better than they did before. You're moving weight you haven't touched like in some time. if ever, feel proud of that. Like,
yeah.
You're doing things that people aren't doing, and that's enough. Like,
yeah.
Because if you're doing that and you're doing that consistently, eventually you will get to that grand goal that you have for yourself.
Absolutely. I love it, man. I think we should end it there.
Yeah. Cap it.
Boom. Good
Love
shit,
it.
brother. All right.